part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
And welcome to another edition of the Reg Eye and Rhoda podcast here on the Press Play Podcast Network. Shout out to our outstanding producer, Dave Emmert, who makes sure you're able to hear this great podcast in the podcatosphere on a regular basis. And Michael Reg Eye, don't look now, but the Cavaliers on a roll, Michael Reg Eye, as your old partner AC likes to say. As we are taping this, they just finished up beating the Indiana Pacers at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse 98-85 to improve to 33-21 on the year, Michael. And they've added a player to the roster in Caris LeVert in a trade with the Pacers. As AC likes to say, they are on a roll right now, aren't they?
They are on a monstrous roll, Kenny wrote in here. Why didn't any of us see this before the season started?
I don't know.
Neither one of us had them as being improving, yes, but we didn't have them as being a 500 team. 500 team, they're looking like they're going to crack 50 wins this year if they keep this up. And who knows how high the seed's going to be in the Eastern Conference, Kenny. But it's magical, and you just love the way the roster has been built, right? Yep. I mean, and now this trade for Caris LeVert, as you and I are going to discuss, I mean, big kudos, major ups to Kobe Altman. Major.
I was not a Kobe Altman fan before this season. I had serious doubts. I wondered why he got another contract. One of the few general managers, I think the only general manager to get a second contract under Dan Gilbert. And I was questioning some of the draft picks. I'm still not sold on Okoro, because, he can't shoot the ball from beyond, about 10 feet consistently, but he's an athlete. But the emergence of Darius Garland, congratulations to him. He's deserving of the all-star nod that he got as a reserve to be played 2 weeks from when we're taping this podcast, the 20th of February in Cleveland. Evan Mobley fell into their lap at number 3. He's on pace for Rookie of the Year, and Jared Allen should be in the all-star game as well. And that was a great trade by Kobe Altman. And now Caris LeVert for the contract of Ricky Rubio, a 2022 lottery-protected first-round pick and 2 second-rounders. Michael, he's averaging 18 points a game, and what do the Cavaliers lack right now with all their injuries? Somebody can score the basketball, right?
Colin Sexton went down. That's another thing we thought, Oh, boy, this. And Kenny, not only have they not missed a beat, I mean, let's be honest. This is whatever you think about Colin Sexton's game, that's really neither here nor there, because this team, I thought they were going to take a big hit offensively, Ken. When is he a volume shot guy? Yeah, he is. But he also had the ability to average 20 to 24 a game, and so they don't have that. They lose that, and Kenny, this offense continues most nights to. If not excel, certainly when you combine with the way they play, do enough to give them everything they need to win. And I mean, beat good teams too. So, yeah. I mean, I just didn't see any of this, Ken. You think all the years you've been around the NBA and what have you, but I'm going to be honest, I did not see anything anywhere near this. Improvement, yes, but this is like through the roof, off the charts.
Reg, Vegas didn't see this coming either. They only had them at 27.5 wins for the entire season. That was 5th worst in the entire NBA. So no, I don't even think the Cavaliers organization saw this type of, surprise season coming at 33 wins already through 54 games. So they are far out, outperforming what I think all of us thought they could. And this team has come together. And, Rubio goes down with the injury and is out for the season. But the mentorship that he provided for both Garland and Sexton before he went down with the injury was huge. And one of the biggest things that really is making this team work is the acceptance of Kevin Love as a sixth man coming off the bench tonight. He splashed, as you like to say, 19 points off the pine for JB Bickerstaff tonight, and he's in the running. Probably won't win it. Hero, is the front runner, I think, for sixth man of the year, but he's in the conversation and has meant a great deal to the team's success so far.
Ken, 100%. Why don't we just add that to this whole equation here? If you'd have told me that Kevin Love is going to accept this buy-in with this concept of him not being in the starting lineup and coming off the bench, and we want you to anchor that second unit, and I would have told you there's no way in hell this man is going to buy into that. So another thing we got wrong, because again, at least all we can go on is what you see on the surface. He seems to have been rejuvenated in this role, Kenny. And you could have tried to sell me on that before this season began, and I would have told you, no way, that is not happening. That's just not how Kevin Love is wired. So who is responsible for selling them on this, Ken? Or is it Love just finally saying, you know what, I'm almost 34 years old. This actually take away a few minutes a night, a little bit less wear and tear, a little bit less pounding. I'm gonna be the guy that's shooting the ball all the time with that second unit. You think all of that was a part of it, and that's just him finally saying, you know what, let me take a real big look at this, and came up with this on his own?
I really believe the Rubio trade, reuniting Caleb and Ricky from their Minnesota days, had a lot to do with it, in that they were out there playing together again, the time machine, going back in time to their Minnesota days. And that's when I think it started to click for Kevin. And then this team started winning games, and you know it, Reg. What's the cure-all for everything? Winning basketball games, right?
Baby. Yes, sir.
If they're losing, Kevin ain't happy with his role, right? No, but they're winning, and he's a big reason they're winning. And if anything, I don't think they're going to trade him before the February 10th trading deadline, but it raised his value as a player again in the NBA, and it's going to prolong his career. And one more thing, he still gets paid the same amount, whether he plays 20 minutes, 25 or 30 minutes a night, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, his last 7 games, I was just looking at today, I mean, he's averaging almost 20 a game. Yeah. And he's shooting 54% from the floor and 43% from three. And, most of Love's work now, he's never been a guy to get an offensive board, maybe a stick back here and there. But as we know, Love's on the perimeter of the floor. That's his game. So, Ken, to be shooting that kind of just outstanding percentage, when most of his shots are 15-foot jumpers out to threes and beyond, I mean, this is a very, very strong shooting performance by Love this year.
Yeah, and they need it too. And we're talking about the trade a little earlier. They needed some scoring help. Think about this, Reg. They're playing without Lauri Markkanen. Let's give him 13 a game, okay?
Yeah.
They're playing without Rubio for the rest of the season. That's another 12. That's 25. Sexton was dropping 16 a night, so that's 41, right? So there's 41 points right there. Oh, yeah. And all-star point guard Darius Garland's missed the last 4 because of back soreness, and he was dropping, let's say, 20 a game. So you're looking at 60 points a game that they're missing right now. Mike Fratello would love some of these wins from when he was coaching the team. Just find a way to win, right? And now you add a Karis LeVert and get Darius Garland back, and hopefully Markkanen back from that ankle sprain after the All-Star break. Now you've got some guys that can score the basketball. And while all of this has been a work in progress offensively, the one thing that has stayed the same, Michael, has been the defense from not day one. The first 2 games they stunk. After that, defensively, they settled in, and Mobley and Allen are anchoring that defense, which is one of the tops in the league.
So you and I have never been hesitant when necessary. We like to think we got, but there's always, when you do what we do, a lot of times you got to do that mea culpa, right?
Yep.
So are you and I both ready to say that the combination, too, of Kobe Altman and J.B. Bickerstaff has a tremendous amount to do with the success we're seeing?
I am willing to say that for this season, and I hope it continues, but I don't want to oversell it because all I have to do is look back to last year's Browns season when Kevin Stefanski was the coach of the year, right? and Andrew Berry was being considered, a genius general manager. And then the next season, they don't make the playoffs, and we're wondering, what direction the future is going to go in. So I want it to be one that is a good duo on the court and in the front office. And I hope it continues. And I'll throw Mike Gansey in there too, the assistant general manager with the Cavaliers. So I hope that trio does continue to make the right moves and the necessary moves. And they've done that to this point when they picked up Rondo when Rubio went down, and now they picked up Karis LeVert.
Very excellent response by you, because without us talking, I feel 1,000% the same way. You just said, yes, they have done a terrific job, but there's always extended work to be done, right?
Right. Yep.
And I'm not one of the guys that's going to say, well, this is a win already. Let's say they, Kenny, wind up, whether it's 50-32, whatever it is, get a top 4 seed in the playoffs, whatever the case may be. Now I want to win in the playoffs.
Right.
Right? I don't want to say, well, listen, how phenomenal is this? They got there this year, right? Well, if you go win close to 50 basketball games or thereabouts, Ken, and you're in the top half of the playoff seeding, now you got to win a round or two, right? Yep. So, again, to me, that's still got to be the preeminent picture here. But, yes, those two guys have far outdone, outworked what I thought that they were capable of. But now it has to be a continuance, and it's got to me, manifest in playoff success too. So, but they sure as hell have put together a strong first, over 50 games of the season. Yep. I don't think anybody can question that. It's been well beyond all of our expectations.
Reg, 33-21. That's 54 games, meaning 28 are left to be played. They play 500 basketball the rest of the way, Reg. 47-35. I was hoping, okay, my I guess high end or ceiling for this team, I was hoping 30 to 33 wins and right, maybe a play-in. Okay, that was me going, okay, if I'm going to go over 30 to 33 wins and at least get a taste of what the play-in pressure is like for these young kids, right? Screw that now. And I think that's what Kobe Altman, Mike Gansey, even Dan Gilbert said on this. No, can you make this team better? Because we want to win right now. We're a game out of first in the entire Eastern Conference, not just in the division. So I like the aggressiveness of adding Rondo earlier and now LeVert. So you've got a point guard that can run the offense with the backup unit, right? And you've got a scorer that you can bring off the bench, start if you have to, put him in the game when you need points, whatever it is, in LeVert. And Michael, think about it. All they gave up was Rubio's contract, because he's done for the year, 2 second rounders, and a first round pick next year, but it's lottery protected. Right. So if you put it in this perspective, let's say they're not in the lottery and Indiana gets that pick. Are you going to draft somebody next year that averages 18 points a game in the NBA at 20 through 30? No. So this is a win-win situation, I think, for the Cavaliers in this trade for Karis LeVert.
Well, there's no question about it. Look, Ken, we know, you and I talk about it all the time. You have got to offensively be proficient to win in the NBA, right? I mean, this is an offensive league. And the teams that have the most of it And the ones that stay consistent on a nightly basis, you can go out when those, the legs are tired, Kenny, and you can see, well, the other boys are going to put up $105 or $110 on us tonight because we're just not that into it. And Kenny, that might happen 10, 12, 15 times during the course of a year. Well, then you better have the type of personnel that can go get 115, and the Cavaliers have that. And so to me, this is a tremendous move in bringing Caris LeVert in, a guy that, you give him 30 minutes, he's going to get you 18. He might get you 30. The other night he had 42 or something. It was his last game as a Pacer. Yep. And, an extremely good perimeter offensive player. Kenny, not just two perimeter. He slashes and can get to the hole. And I think that's something that the Cavaliers are going to find very, very useful as they go forward with their offensive concept.
We'll get a break in right now, Michael. When we come back here on the R&R podcast brought to you by MGM Northfield Park, I want to talk more about Caris LeVert and what they're getting. Also, the All-Star game, which is going to be played in Cleveland, and the fact that Garland's in and unfortunately Allen is out, but maybe he will be in if Adam Silver makes the smart decision as one of those injury replacements. We'll get into all that and more when we return on the R&R podcast here on the Press Play Podcast Network.
For the Dennis Maniloff Show, I'll tap into my 40-plus years of following Cleveland sports and 30-plus years of writing and talking about them, so as to bring you informed opinions and analysis of your favorite players and teams. I also will monitor the national sports scene and, when warranted, step out of the toy department and into the real world. And I'll always be on the lookout for special guests. By all means, join us.
Hello, Brooks here with the Books with Brooks monthly book club podcast. Listen, it is beyond time for you to join a book club. I know you've been thinking about it, and everyone's doing it. Here's how Books with Brooks works. We read one book a month, and then we talk about it. Classics like Stephen King's The Shining, debut novels like We Are the Brennans by Tracy Lang, and tons of other compelling, life-changing stories, one book and 1 month at a time. So come read along with us and then listen in.
Hey everybody, it's Sam Amico from Cavs on the Break, NBA podcast. Be sure to give us a listen for all your Cleveland Cavaliers recaps, analysis, breakdowns, draft talk, free agency. The list goes on and on. Give us a listen, Cavs on the Break, NBA podcast.
And welcome back to the R&R podcast here on the Press Play Podcast Network, sponsored by MGM Northfield Park. Kenny Rhoda, Michael Regai with you talking Cavs basketball. Before we get to Darius Garland, a definite all-star. He's a reserve. Jared Allen, maybe an all-star. We have to wait and see on that. I want to get a little bit more into Caris LeVert, Michael, and you remember him from his days in high school in Columbus, Ohio, and then he played for John Beilein in college at Michigan. And, of course, Beilein was the coach here. He had a cup of coffee before he was let go after a half season. But Mike Gansey played for Beilein as well. So do you think there was some connection there between Gansey, Beilein, and Beilein having LeVert and maybe getting information on him as to whether or not to make this deal?
Without question, Kenny. I do. Emphatically, I do. John Beilein has always been, you go back, I remember I called games, I've told you many times when, even before West Virginia, John Beilein was head coach at Richmond. And this guy, you could see him year by year, players are developed. They'd get better. And he'd get guys, Kenny, in this day and age. Now, I'm not saying he was getting 5-star guys, but they'd stay 3 to 4 years with him.
Right.
Right? Look at that West Virginia team. You and I used to Pittsnoggle. Remember that group?
Kevin Pittsnoggle. Yeah.
Right, Kevin Pittsnoggle. Okay, so but Kenny, when you go Caris LeVert, when you look at the guards, and I called a couple of high school games, remembering LeVert and thinking about him, Kenny, he was about 160 pounds. And I think the thing is that not a lot, all the MACs offered him, and it's Division I. But not a lot of coaches felt that because, he was thin, he was rail thin, that maybe he had enough strength to play in the backcourt at the Big Ten level. Always, tremendously skilled. We saw that. But Kenny, think about it. When the reason we brought up John Beilein, let's go to the guards. Let's just go at Michigan. Trey Burke, Tim Hardaway, and Karis LeVert, all NBA guys, right? All guys that became NBA guys. And so, I think that when you saw Karis LeVert, I think he just another one of those that probably did a great deal of developing, and his game became NBA style for playing with John Beilein. As I said, there's, he's one of many. Glenn Robinson III, another one. All these guys, and Hardaway's a very good NBA career, right? Burke's still in the NBA, has started a bit, backup guy, but there. Right. And so I think that I'm happy for Karis LeVert that he's as a guy that has developed like this and now become and to me, is there going to be a little pressure on him? I guess when you make this kind of trade, but Kenny, I think he's going to be up to it, and I think the Cavaliers are, hopefully it doesn't take too long. You're getting another guy into your system, and I think they're going to continue to enhance themselves offensively with the acquisition of Karis LeVert.
Let's hope he can stay healthy. That's one knock against him. He's had some injuries throughout his career, and that's something that maybe factored into why Indiana wanted to get rid of him. They're looking for draft capital and everything as they're trying to get younger. They're out of the playoff picture. Averaged 20 points a game last year in 35 games. They were all starts last year. This year, before he was traded to the Cavaliers, averaging almost 19 points a game, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Not a great three-point shooter, 32% this year, only 33% for his career, so that's not his strength. That's still an area that concerns me about the Cavaliers. I think tonight in the win over Indiana, they started 3 for 21 before going 8 for 8 in the fourth quarter. So that's still an area of concern. But if you're looking for somebody to just score the basketball, kind of like a Colin Sexton, and it'll be interesting to see how this affects the future of Colin Sexton in Cleveland as well, Michael. Karis LeVert gives you that guy that can provide you some instant offense when needed. And as we've seen without Darius Garland in there at times, this team needs a shot in the arm of offense.
Well, and again, that's the thing. First of all, you got to you look in the mirror, and with Kobe Altman and JB Bickerstaff, we need it. We got to have another offensive piece if we're going to succeed the way we want to succeed. So to me, and sure, they gave away one first rounder in 2 seconds. So to me, Kenny, I'm more of the I don't know, that's going to mess up the no. When that window and door is open, go take advantage of it. I want to win now. 3 or 4 years from now, that might you might want them to. You know what? So much can happen between, and you have if LeVert comes in and this thing happens, and let's say the Cavs win a couple of rounds and go deep in the playoffs. Well, that's going to enhance your ability with free agents and the whole bit. So, no, when you got a chance to win, Ken, any sport, win now. Nobody tell me about 3-4 years from now. Go win now.
Reg, and here's the other factor, too. He's under control for another year. Right. So they'll have him through the end of this year and next year. They can always trade him next year if it doesn't work out. So it's, a decent salary to trade. So that's a valuable piece, when you look at it from that perspective. And like I said, Colin Sexton's a restricted free agent at the end of this year. Somebody may make him a big offer. Do the Cavaliers match that? Don't know. Do they try and sign and trade him? Possibility. At least you have LeVert then to pick up the 16 points that Sexton was giving you before he went down with an injury. So this helps them now and at least for next year. So again, I applaud Kobe Altman for the move, being aggressive. Again, I wasn't a big believer in his. I'm starting to, lean that way with Kobe and the decisions he's made in the draft picks of Garland 3 years ago. Cora, not so much, but Mobley, no-brainer this year. And then the trade of Jared Allen last year looks genius. They got him for, 5 years, $100 million now, and that's a steal. And let's segue into that, Reg. Darius Garland deserving 20 points, 8 assists. We're rounding up. He's an all-star reserve selected by the coaches. A guy who was Jared Allen, and all he's done since he was not selected, Michael Regai, 29 points and 22 rebounds the other night, 15 points, 17 rebounds tonight. I think sending a message to Adam Silver, who makes the injury replacement selection, that I should be that guy, right?
No doubt about that. This guy, to me, and again, it's obviously, we've already discussed Darius Garland. We've discussed Kevin Love's buy-in, but Kenny, the play of Jared Allen, come on now. I mean, this is as big as any individual thing and might be the number one pivotal point that has the Cavaliers on this upward ascent. This young man, and again, it's, not a lot of talk, not a lot of histrionics. This guy just goes out and he defends too, Ken. He blocks shots. And, if you need him to, he'll go get you 20 when you need him to. So, I mean, I don't know what more you can ask of a big in today's NBA to add a large exponential piece to a team becoming better and winning. Perfect. He's been perfect. And I grade on a hard grade too. So for me to say that, I don't know who you can get that's going to be any better for this team than what Jared Allen's done as a big.
And that's just the offensive, conversation we're having about him. He's the anchor of the defense on the backside with Mobley. So you've got two now rim protectors, and Karis LeVert tries, but he's not a great defensive player. But guess what? If he gets beat, you've got Allen, you've got Mobley back there, maybe Markkanen. We'll see how the lineup is when everybody gets back healthy and everything. But Jared Allen is a guy at the rim contesting shots. I rank Jared Allen and Evan Mobley this way. You look and you go, he's only blocking 1.4 shots a game, Roadman. Why is that a big deal? Well, go back and look at what the NFL does. They count sacks and they count quarterback pressures. Well, if the NBA counted block shots and altered shots, guess who'd be near the top in the NBA with Rudy Gobert? It would be Jared Allen and Evan Mobley with altered shots as well. And those aren't a stat, and I don't know why they're not, because they keep statistics on everything else these days with the analytical breakdown.
Well, yeah, and you said it 100% there. The altered shots thing is the key. And how about maybe drives or potential opportunities that an opposing player will pull away from because they don't want to go challenge that with Jared Allen. And you throw Evan Mobley into that too. I mean, these two guys protect the rim, Ken, and they seem like they do it. They like to do it. And that's what, that's another piece that, as we know, guys may be capable, but how much are they willing to put in that hard work on the defensive end? These two guys like to do it, and it has been a godsend to the Cavaliers' overall Team D.
And I want to check the box score tonight, Michael, because I guess Sabonis was another one of those guys that people were saying, well, if there's an injury, right, from Indiana. Yeah. Let's see who I want to say tonight's box score.
Tonight. Yeah, he played.
I want to see the box score if my computer will work here. It's not. I want to compare the numbers head to head. So, if that's something that potentially is what, maybe Adam Silver is. You always look for everything and anything as a PR guy to promote your guy, right? Hey, right. Adam, head to head, guess what happened, So let me see if I can find out what they did head to head here. How about this? I've got a computer, I've got an iPad, and I've got an iPhone, and I can't get one damn thing out of any of these to come up here with the damn box score to compare. Here we go. Sabonis, 9 points, 11 rebounds tonight in the loss to the Cavaliers in, 26 minutes? Okay. And Jared Allen, 31 minutes, 15 points, 17 boards. So there you go, a little head-to-head action. And it's in Cleveland, too. And you don't want to say just put him in because he's a hometown guy.
Oh, no, he's deserving.
He's deserving of it. Heck,
absolutely.
Even Charles and Shaq, I think. I watched it a week ago Thursday, okay? Mm-hmm. And I watched the Inside the NBA on TNT. And they did their all-star reserves. And all four of them, Ernie, Shaq, Charles, terrible, and Kenny, All those guys had Garland. All 4 of them had Garland in, and he's in. And 2 out of the 4 had Jared Allen in as well. So those guys, I respect their opinions, right? Yeah, they get a little nuts and crazy, and they have a blast. They're ball busters and all that on that show, and it's a lot of fun. But I respect their opinion. So 2 out of those 4 had Allen in as well. So hopefully Adam Silver saw that and is seeing what Allen has done the last 2 games and will give him the nod for an injured either Kevin Durant or a Draymond Green. There may be 2 spots that are available because of it.
Could be. Yeah, well, and the commissioner's got about 500 guys and gals that are watching for him, right, to be his eyes and ears every night. I hope they all get to him in mass and let him know that he has got to make this, which would be a very deserving move to get Jared Allen on this all-star squad. Yeah.
All right, Darius Garland, let's talk a little bit about him and why he's in the All-Star game. And I'm looking at his numbers in year number 3, Michael, 20 points, 8 assists, 47% from the field, 37% from three-point range, 91% from the free throw line. I believe there's 8 in the history of the NBA that have ever gone 50, 40, 90. Mark Price, former Cavalier, was the second to do it after Larry Bird. But Garland flirting with that. And also, I think you see his importance, Michael, in the games he hasn't played for the Cavaliers and how much they miss him and his scoring and having to go out and get Karis LeVert to add some scoring to this team. So by the fact that he hasn't played in 4 games, I think has raised his value.
No question about it. And another young man. And I'm glad you mentioned, because the same organization, Darius Garland's early stages of his career. Kenny, look at the comparisons and just with Mark Price.
Yep.
It's kind of like, wow. I'm looking at it and it's like, this is telling, because it's almost on the same path. Now, Price was was his first or second pick of the second round.
First pick of the second round, 25th overall that
86.
Yep.
1986. Yeah, 25th overall. And then, of course, but then he comes to the Cavaliers, plays his rookie year, and 86, 87, he played 18 minutes a game. John Bagley was on that team that he was sharing the backcourt with. But then they got rid of Bagley. Remember, they drafted Kevin Johnson, but Mark's second year took the big jump from 6 points a game up to 16 a game, shot 50% from the floor overall, 40% from 3, all the things that you were just mentioning, Kenny. Yeah. And Darius Garland is, again, these kind of strides Garland is making, but more so than that, Ken, I just really, really like the way this guy seems to be a basketball savant to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not just his statistics and what he does. I think this guy really loves being the orchestrator of this team on the floor at such a young age. I think he's tremendous.
Well, Michael, and I hate to say it this way, but his season really took off when Colin Sexton went down. It became his team, okay? Because, Colin was drafted ahead of him, and Colin was averaging 24 points a game last year, right? And I give Colin credit. When this year started, before he got hurt, he adapted to a new role, less shots, scoring average down 8 points, but they were winning. So that's, cures all ills right there if you win basketball games. But I have to, say Garland, when they turned the keys over and said, go ahead, drive the Ferrari, he's driven it at a high speed all the way to the All-Star game. And I don't think it's a coincidence that it happened with Colin Sexton going down. So that's why I wonder about the future of Colin Sexton, especially after picking up Karis LeVert.
It's going to be very compelling to see where it goes. Hate the fact that the young man, had to go down with a serious injury and is going to miss the season. But we all know that he's, I think, very highly thought of and highly coveted around the league. So if the Cavaliers decide, Ken, that, okay, we've gone and we went another area now. I think they can still, even off the injury, pull back a pretty good haul for Colin Sexton. If that's we don't know that's the road they're looking to go, but it now certainly gives options. And I think that's what any GM of any profession tell you. We want to have ourselves in position. Yeah, it would be good, but we want to have options and ways we can go, right? Well, this is potentially just that. But Darius Garland, to me, Kenny, and remember how many raise your hands now, because we all but boy, there were a lot of you Cavaliers fans, a lot of you, they're like, we don't, Darius Garland, he can't shoot, he's never going to score, right? And well, that tune has changed rather emphatically in a year.
Yeah, and remember this, Michael. This was a 3-time Mr. Basketball in the state of Tennessee before he went to Vanderbilt, and he only played, 5 games in college because of a meniscus injury. So you're getting a Mr. Basketball in Tennessee, and at number 5 that year, I didn't like the Sexton pick. I was okay with the Garland pick at that point, but after his rookie year and he was hurt, you're wondering, okay, well, what's going to happen with this kid? Well, he put the time in, and again, one of the things that I think has helped him, Michael, and his confidence that has led to this performance this year was the offseason when Team USA Basketball picked him to compete against the Olympic squad, right? He was chosen for that team that went up in practice every day against the Olympic team. And that had to give him a boost of confidence. And that told me that he was the focal point of this team and not Colin Sexton, because Sexton wasn't picked for that team. It was Garland, who everybody thought was the better player. And a lot of GMs in their annual NBA.com Q&A before the season said, watch out for Darius Garland, could be most improved player this season. And he's making a lot of those GMs who voted for him in that Q&A session with NBA.com look pretty good.
Yeah, well, the ones that said watch out for him, they were right on the money, correct. And Kenny, we started to hear during the Olympic situation that Garland was a part of that. He performed extremely well and gave a lot of those Olympian guards a whole lot of trouble in those matchups. So, on the practice floor every day. So it's looking like the Cavaliers have one of the very finest young point guards in the NBA and going forward. And that's probably going to do nothing but to make everybody smile, Kenny, as we go forward through these next years.
Let's do this quick break and then short recap of what we've talked about. And we haven't even mentioned Evan Mobley hardly at all in this edition of the Regai and Rhoda podcast. We'll touch on him too when we come back before we put a bow on this thing and wrap it all up. So stay with us.
Hi, my name is Sam Post, owner of Phenomenal CBD store and PhenomenalCBD.com. That's like phenomenal, CBD.com. Tune in where we talk with experts about how the amazing hemp plant can make a difference for people's health and well-being from the Press Play Podcast Network.
Looking for new insights on the Cleveland sports scene with a unique side of Cleveland sports history? Then you found the perfect podcast. I'm John Sable.
And I'm Scott Sable, and we're hosts of the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, a podcast about Cleveland sports, but not your typical podcast about the land's sports teams. Join us as we embark on a journey of sharing a unique and historical side of Cleveland sports history with the help of some former Cleveland sports stars and other historical figures.
All right here on the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hey everyone, it's JD from the Hyman Podcast. Backed by popular demand, I'm excited to let you know that new episodes of the Hyman Podcast will drop every other Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. We're going to continue the conversations we started last season and keep having those hard conversations. There is so much in store for you this season, and I'm excited to share it with you. Subscribe today so you don't miss a single moment. The Hyman Podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
And welcome back to the Regai and Rhoda podcast here on the Press Play Podcast Network, brought to you by MGM Northfield Park. And Michael Regai, kudos to Darius Garland, the first Cavaliers All-Star since 2018 when LeBron James and Kevin Love both represented the city of Cleveland in the midseason classic. So kudos to him. We'll see if Jared Allen joins him like Love joined LeBron that year. So happy to see that, especially with the game in Cleveland. And kudos to Evan Mobley for making the Rising Stars game this year, and deservedly so, along with Isaac Okoro, who made it. So the Cavaliers will have two in the Rising Stars games. And Evan Mobley, right now, still the front runner, I think, to be Rookie of the Year. But I think he's hitting the rookie wall, Michael, because in 3 of his last 4 games, he's gone for 9 points, 4 rebounds, 8 points, 8 rebounds, 4 points, 5 rebounds. So maybe a little break coming up here, and not much travel will do the Rook well, because as you were telling me during the break, he's about 20 games over what he played in college for a season, right?
That's correct. And Kenny Rhoda, we've seen this all before. And again, don't worry about it. I have complete confidence in. That's all that this is. Again, he's up over 50 games now. He's used to playing 28 to 32. Okay? So it's all of that has to be taken into account. And I think, Kenny, to me, he's the essence of everything you want in a young player coming into the league, right? Yep. He's same thing we were saying about Jared, a willing and a want-to defender. And Kenny, sometimes you and I know this. That's like pulling teeth with young guys coming into the NBA. I wish I had a quarter for every time. No names. Right. Through the years that I had a Cavalier coach just go off on guys, not when a microphone or a camera was there, but going off on some of their young guys that they got so hot at them because they wouldn't give the effort on the defensive end. And, this kid, I mean, he's to me, Kenny, at times I look at him and says, this guy 30 years old and like a 10-year vet. The way that he understands, and Kenny, I think he's such a good team defender too.
Right.
Right? You think so?
Absolutely.
Excellent team defender. He gets it. And I think that, again, with Mobley and Garland as the two anchors, that's why, to me, I'm just thrilled for what potentially can take place with this Cavalier organization. They both get it in addition to being supreme talents.
Right, guys. I had one dude, he shot at the wrong basket and wouldn't play defense for me. What was I supposed to do with wrong ways, Ricky? I went through a bottle of Excedrin, ibuprofen every game.
Not to mention a lot of Hennessy after it.
Oh, my goodness.
Watching some of those guys. I mean, Kenny, only because, Luke with like your boy with as Kenny is the lasagna flop.
Yep.
And Chris Mims
had that S or Z on the end of it.
Oh my goodness. Luke would just, I can't do him as well as you
can. Guy, he's a pretty boy. He ain't no big.
No, that's
he's
right.
too pretty.
That and a whole lot of things. But I mean, just to try, not him, Paul Silas, Randy Wood. It's impossible to get some of these guys to even understand what we're asking defensively. So it's like, this is why, to me, again, I just love watching Garland and Mobley play because these guys are, Kenny, they're throwbacks, man. They're throwbacks. And to me, I think they could have played in the league, those Cavalier teams of Lenny Wilkins in the late 80s, because they're complete players. They're complete players, right? And that, to me, that's worth its weight in gold, Cavalier fans. You should love that. Rhoda and I know it. You guys start looking at it. It's worth its weight in gold. These guys love the game, and they're throwbacks to old school way of playing when we got to play good team defense, or, we're not going to reach the levels we want to. These kids get it. And wow, it's fun to watch, Ken. It's fun to watch.
Reg, I won't mention the coach's name, but I want you to mention the player's name. What coach chased the player out of the locker room, running down the hallway? Who was the player? I'm drawing a blank. Had a headband, wore braids. Not Darius Miles, but I can't think of his name now.
Ira Newble.
That's who it was.
It was my man Paul Silas. He's in Detroit. I heard it. I went in the locker room after the game, and it started. And I heard, and I love the big grizzly bear. Paul Silas is like, "What? What did you say to me? You, I will kill you." And finally, I think Ira finally thought, this is for real. And Newble ran out of the locker room, and Silas was chasing him down the corridor at the palace, at the old palace.
The malice in the palace in the Cavaliers locker room, man.
And man, I'll tell you, Silas didn't play that fool stuff.
No.
Yeah.
And these guys could have played for Paul Silas or Lenny Wilkens, right? No Mobley, Jared Allen, Darius Garland.
Yeah.
They're old school.
Thank you for bringing up an Ira Newble.
We've had some buttes over the years, man. Wrong way, Ricky. Lasagna flop. Don't forget about Tragic Langdon, too. Although overseas, he led Moscow to a bunch of championships, and he's in the front office in the NBA now. So, And who of those guys, God rest his soul, Robert Tractor Trailer. Chris Gatling, remember him? Yeah, absolutely. Talking about headbands,
These dudes, they kind of did it their own way to a different drummer, Ken.
Yeah.
It wasn't about, and they didn't give a damn about wanting to be coached, and basically rejected it. I'm being as kind as I can be. Rejected anything that even resembled being coached.
Yeah.
Not a job I want, Ken. I've said not a job I want.
Yeah, no question. All right, Reg, this was a lot of fun. Cavaliers are a lot of fun. Who knew, right? At the beginning of the season, we'd be having this much fun talking Cavaliers basketball, and plenty more on the Cavaliers moving forward, working on some big guests to talk Cavaliers basketball with us, as well as the Reg Guy and Rhoda podcast moves along into the year of 2022 here on the Press Play Podcast Network. Reg, always a blast chatting basketball with you or anything with you, my friend. Stay healthy, all right?
Kenny Rhoda, always fun to do it. And everybody stay healthy, and look for us here real soon, and we'll continue in all these conversations.
Cavs on a roll, Reg Guy. Here they come.